Hello everyone and welcome to the NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday the 21st of February 2022. It's Gary here again and well there you go, another roller coaster week for our club with an absolutely incredible away result in the Europa League, possibly our best ever result away from home in Europe in our entire history, then a clunky and somewhat predictable draw away to Dundee United to continue, I don't know, what can best be described as our stutterfest title defence that appears to be very much off the rails now at this point for me. Anyway, there's just too much volatility in our domestic form to give me any confidence at all that we have a title winning run in us, especially as that mob from the East End just continue to churn out win after win after win. It's just incredible the way things have transpired since January of this year, I'm afraid. So on to our game segment. Two games this past week, one in the Europa League and one in the league. Well, okay, so let's be positive for a second here. What is to say about the first game that we had last Thursday? I have to say, as I said in the intro there, I think it has to be one of, if not the best away performance in European competition, certainly that I've seen. And it's absolutely up there with the 3-0 Lyon victory back in the Champions League days. But let this sink in. You know, we handily beat the tournament favourites 4-2 on their own turf. 4-2. Absolutely incredible performance overall. Every single player was absolutely immense, all over the pitch for the whole entire game. Goals from Tav, Morelos, an OG inspired by Morelos, and John Lundstrom goal was the four goals that we had. And if I'm being a wee bit spoiled or greedy here, their two goals were pretty fortuitous. Not the actual finishes. The finishes themselves were absolutely world class, but the passages of play that led up to both Dortmund goals, they just seemed to get break after break after break. It seemed like, and I guess, you know, if you work hard for your breaks, and the good teams do, then they can take advantage of those breaks that come their way, and that's exactly what they did. But anyway, enough about them. What about us, eh? Oh my word, it was absolutely brilliant, stunning from start to finish, and it was actually a great game as well. You know, just to watch. Chances at both ends, both teams really going for it the whole night. To pick a standout is very, very difficult because everyone was fantastic, as I had mentioned, but Ryan Kent, I have to say, put in one of his best performances in a Rangers shirt, period, on Thursday there. It was the Ryan Kent of old and then some, and he's just an absolute joy to watch when he's flying like that. And what about this for a fortuitous situation? I personally had a dentist appointment organised for 11:45 a.m, which was basically slap bang in the middle of the game, and I had to move it a wee while ago from a previous time to Thursday's time slot there, kind of forgetting that the game was on because I didn't have the game in my main calendar that attracts such appointments. So I hummed and hawed all week about whether to move it or not, and then I eventually moved it to this coming Friday, and it was actually just the day before, on the Wednesday, that I moved it. So I could have missed that whole performance and result real time. I could have done that, and I would have been devastated actually if I had, and obviously thank goodness that I didn't. It was just a brilliant, absolutely brilliant performance, and we went out for dinner that night and then came back, the family, the Careys and ourselves, and we rewatched the game at the end of it. I never do that. I never rewatch the games back. I might, on a very, very odd occasion, watch highlights afterwards, but I like to just experience it at one time and then kind of move on from it. And we watched the whole game and seen a whole bunch more brilliant stuff on the replay that we had kind of missed just in the moment of that as well. Tremendous performance, tremendous goals, tremendous entertainment, and here's hoping that we're in good shape for this week. Obviously, Dortmund winning 6-0 yesterday sets down a bit of a marker that they're a bit smarting from that defeat, and you never know. 4 of those goals, I believe, was in the last 20 minutes, so this game is not going to be done. This tie is not going to be done until the whistle blows at the very end of the game on Thursday night, and I can't wait. I really honestly cannot wait for that. On the The referee watch, I thought the referee, I thought he had an absolutely fantastic game. He seemed to be talking the players through the game the whole night, and I don't think he got anything wrong. The VAR intervention for the penalty was absolutely spot on, just a picture postcard of what VAR is supposed to be for and used like. And he didn't mind, a meaty but fair challenge or two, and again, VAR correctly intervened for our fourth goal as well, or maybe it was the third or the fourth. I can't remember. The one with the it was Morelos was flagged for offside. He did his best to keep his cards in his pocket, only booking one of their players and then Alan McGregor for time wasting during the game. I honestly wish Scottish referees could apply the rules like Clement Turpin did, and that was the referee's name. He gets a 9 out of 10 for this one, and just because no referee's ever going to get a 10 out of 10, quite honestly, but it's the best referee in performance that I've seen for some time. So what does it mean? As I said last week, we just wanted a result to bring it home to Ibrox, to give us at least a chance, at least a wee bit of excitement to get us into the last 16 of the Europa League, and that's exactly what we got. We obviously have to play smart and hard for the entire game this week, and hopefully that's enough to take us through. So fingers crossed. But thank you to everyone in the Rangers first team for giving us that performance, that result, and just something to celebrate. We'll be talking about this for years and years and years to come. On to the not so positive. Our second game was away to Dundee United on Sunday morning my time, of course. And we enjoyed just a one change in terms of team lineup from the Dortmund heroes, with Barisic dropping to the bench and Philippe Hollander resuming his return to the centre of defence, meaning that Calvin Bassey moved out to the left-hand side. And I have to say, honestly, we didn't play badly at all in the first half. I just don't recall the United goalie having a single thing to do, though, in terms of saves to make. There was a lot of blocks, there was some skied shots onto Tannadice Street, I think a couple of them went. And, other than that, we had lots of drive, lots of intensity, just with no clear chances created. And I guess there's obviously a new thing that's been introduced in Scottish football. I must have missed it if and when it was announced, but it's pushing Ryan Kent blatantly in the back and then no foul is given, because that's what happened again. In the first 10 minutes, the referee's looking at it again in the first 10 minutes and doesn't even give a foul. Then we should have had an absolute blatant penalty for the handball that astonishingly referee Bobby Madden said no. I mean, he's looking at it, his linesman's looking at it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Then you've got the ball boys who obviously were told not to, actually do their job and retrieve the ball and pass it back, specifically to Rangers players. There has to be some sort of compliance complaint from the club for that, because that's just ridiculous, just petty stupidity. And anyway, the second half was full of hard work, full of endeavour. We enjoyed our first shot on target in 59 minutes, almost an hour to get a shot on target, where the goalie, I thought, made a really good save from a Joe Aribo header from a corner. And then Fashion Sakala almost literally gets his shirt hauled off his back as he's teeing up to basically tap in for the equaliser, and neither the referee nor the linesman sees it, and the chance is gone. I mean, and the thing to compound was that it would have been a red card as well, so it would have been a penalty. Maybe we don't score it, but it would have been a red card. It would have been down to 10 men. We were already flying at that point. Game changing in terms of the refereeing. Just absolutely pathetic refereeing, basically. And we huff and puff for the rest of the half and finally score a brilliant equaliser from Joe Aribo, which was a very, very well worked goal. And we've still got plenty of time left for the winner. I think it's like maybe 15 minutes or so, something like that. But unfortunately, the winner just didn't come. On another day, Alfredo Morelos gets a hat-trick, but it just was not his day at all. Positives from the game: we finally scored a goal away at Dundee United this season. Let that one sink in. And that's 2 goals in 3 games that we've scored against Dundee United, a team that were just recently promoted. It's just, man. Ryan Kent was brilliant, especially in the second half. He's just always trying. You can tell he's just got a rich vein of form going on right now. The team kept at it and kept at it and kept at it for the whole match. Not so positives: we've dropped 5 points to Dundee United this season. We're 3 points behind in the league, and we've dropped 5 points to Dundee United already. And compound that with the points that we've already dropped to Ross County that I kind of ranted and raved about a couple of weeks ago as well. The last time we won an away game in the league, the 12th of December against Hearts. Yeah, you heard me right. The 12th of December, over 2 months ago. I know there was a 3-week break in there, but that's just not good enough. And our set plays, we're just losing way too many goals from set pieces, and even when we score from a set piece, it still comes as a very pleasant surprise to me. You know, it just doesn't seem to be that we're practicing set pieces anymore, either in the offensive part of the pitch or in the defensive part of the pitch as well. I'm just not sure. I mean, obviously, you can see teams are highlighting the fact that Alan McGregor just doesn't come for crosses. When we defended the ball that came in, Philippe Hollander, I know people have criticised his defending for the goal. It wasn't as bad as some of the set piece goals we've lost. He kind of just lost his man a wee bit, but still made a bit of an attempt for the ball. The guy put a decent header in there. It wasn't the blatant one where it's an absolute shocker. But that's a goalie's ball all day long. It's obvious. Whenever that happens, you never see any of the defenders giving Alan McGregor a hard time, because I think they know it's been categorically stated, and they don't set themselves up the fact that he's ever going to come off his line. And I think that's probably just part of his game now, part of his age, maybe protecting himself from injuries. I know that he's got a bit of a bad back and stuff like that as well, but you can tell that other teams are starting now to pinpoint that and put these looping balls into the box and then just see what happens after that. So, it's a worry. We're losing we're giving away too many set pieces in and around our half to get ourselves into those positions in the first place, and then when they do come in, it's hearts in the mouth stuff every single time a ball comes in from a set piece. Other kind of negatives: Ahmad, our new £37 million loanee. I can't see him lasting that long in Scottish football at this rate, because the boy just doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. It looks like he's stunned every time he comes on, and it doesn't seem to be that he cares too much either. A couple of challenges yesterday that he could have put his foot in, and I'm not talking about 50-50 challenges, the type that John Lundstrom and Ryan Jack would go into. I'm just talking about stuff that he had a very good opportunity to win the ball, take it away and create an attacking opportunity. He decided not to do it. Another time, he looks like, he's a mile onside. Everybody can see he's a mile onside. He's looking over at the line and just stops because he thinks he's going to be called for offside. One of the most basic things you're ever told, even as a kid, is play to the whistle. And the guy he's a bit of a nightmare. That said, he did score 2 goals today in a bounce match that was arranged for Auchenhowie against Brentford, and Brentford had a kind of mix of B team and first team players there. So maybe it's more minutes he needs. That match finished 2-2, by the way. And interestingly, Christian Eriksen was playing in the match as well. So great to see him back on a football pitch as well. But as I say, maybe it's more minutes that he needs, and that's maybe one of the reasons that game was organised. I'm not 100% sure, but to be honest, thus far, our 2 sensational January transfer window loanee signings have been reduced for one reason or another to bit part contributors to the team. I'm obviously very hopeful that they come on to a game and help the team out in the title run, but thus far, we're kind of a month into their tenure, maybe even over that, and haven't seen a whole hell of a lot. Obviously, yes, Ahmad scored within 5 minutes of his debut at Ross County, but other than that, not a hell of a lot of contribution thus far. But it's still time yet, of course. Here we go. The referee watch for this one. Bobby Madden did what Bobby Madden does, and which is basically whatever he feels like in the moment of a game, with absolutely no regard for anything resembling game management within the game. It's just isolated incident to isolated incident to isolated incident. I think the guy must be a goldfish in a previous life or something like that. He doesn't give the blatant handball that I talked about earlier. When the flight of the ball is so obviously materially affected by the contact, that's just a penalty. It doesn't matter whether it's early in the game, it doesn't matter whether it was intentional or not, it's a penalty kick. It doesn't give it. He doesn't spot a studs up challenge by Mulgrew on Arfield in the first half. Bassey is blatantly stamped on just outside the box with no yellow card given. Alfredo's barged off the ball, and then he's yellow carded for standing his ground and continuing to fight for the ball. He's the guy yellow carded. The other guy doesn't get yellow carded, it's just Morelos. And that's just in the first half. The second half, another Stonewall penalty denied, as I mentioned with the Sakala incident. And he did absolutely nothing about the time wasting of both the Dundee United players and the stupid ball boys for the whole game. Okay, yeah, he did add 5 minutes at the end of the game and then almost another 2 minutes added on to that. But the time wasting here, if Alan McGregor does that, I mentioned there was one yellow card in Dortmund. If Alan McGregor does what every single Dundee United player was doing in the game, he gets booked. Consistently booked for time wasting, yet the Dundee United players get away with it time and time again. I just don't see the logic in that. He's just a crap referee, and end of story. So he gets a 1 out of 10 for me, just because the scale starts at 1. If it started at 0, he would get a 0. Anyway, but I'm kind of torn on this one, because I thought we played really, really well. On another day, that game is 5-1. Nobody complains. Nobody complains at all, because we were so dominant. So it's not one of those ones where we were junk and the result was junk as well. We just freak result, maybe, but we can't afford those now. We're 11 games to go. So since the winter break, we've played 7 league games. We've won 3, we've drawn 3, we've lost 1. Out of a possible 21 points, we've picked up 12. That's just surefire second place form right there. And that's kind of all I have to say about that. This week, we have 2 games, the return leg, of course, at Ibrox against Dortmund in the Europa League, last 32, and 1 in the league. On Thursday's match is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's 8 p.m. UK time. And again, like last week, this one is available on Paramount Plus in the States. Probably another few channels in the States as well, but Paramount Plus is the one I know about for sure. And DAZN in Canada, with delayed coverage available from midnight UK time on Rangers TV. As I mentioned, the tie is most certainly not over, and if we defend set pieces like we did against Dundee United, then Dortmund will be more than happy about that, I'm sure. But as I mentioned last week, we enjoy this for what it is, and we see what happens. I think it's going to be an open game. I think it's going to be an entertaining game. I'm not 100% sure if we go through. Either way, we are still thrilled and delighted about what happened last Thursday, but of course we want to be in the draw for the last 16 when that takes place, which I believe would probably be Friday, or maybe it's the Monday, I'm not 100% sure. The second game is this Sunday at home to Motherwell with a 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time kickoff. That's a 3 p.m. UK. And Motherwell are in 6th spot right now, but on the exact same points as both Hibs and Dundee United, who are directly above them. So we can expect another tough game, which every game of the 11 remaining games that we have is just quite simply a must win. We have to win that match and then just see where we go from there. We've played Motherwell twice this season. Firstly, and frustratingly, drawing with them 1-1 at Ibrox back in mid-September, with Fashion Sakala getting our goal, and then we smashed them 6-1 at Fir Park on Halloween, when Fashion Junior also got a hat-trick. So it's clear that Fashion is the new Cedric Eaton when it comes to playing Motherwell. So I wonder if we go for a front line that's actually Cedric Eaton and Fashion Sakala, and then we beat Motherwell about 8-0 with them getting 4 goals each, something like that. Maybe I would take it. I hope so anyway. So points per game, I'm not going to do that this week because I'm kind of fed up reading about it, but obviously our points per game were down again, and theirs probably increased a wee bit. For RTV, we did have a wee bit of a feed issue at the beginning of the Dundee United match on Sunday, but I'm not 100% sure any NARSA bears would have noticed it, because there was no interrupted feed. The problem was Sky's feed at their side, which meant we didn't have access to proper crowd sound for the first 15 minutes or so they used the previous game crowd sound for the first wee while. Other than that, it was pretty quiet on the RTV front this week, and as I mention every week, if there are any further individual vouchers needed or any problems with any of the club vouchers, please do contact Alan McWatt and he will sort you out with whatever you need. For shout outs, I received the following one from my good friend and NARSA Vice President Brian Campbell, where he said, while our team was having a good outing in Dortmund, our Rangers family grew by 1. Please join me in congratulating Big Neil and the Armour family on the arrival of grandbaby number 1. Neil's daughter Nikki was in labour since midnight last night. This was sent, I believe it was sent on Thursday on the day of the game, and delivered baby Kellan during our historic performance. Congratulations to you, big man, and all the best to Nikki and Kellan. Your life has changed forever, pal. So, brilliant news. Another bear to add to the Worldwide Rangers family, and congratulations, as Brian says, to Nikki and Kellan on his arrival, and to Neil on the arrival of his first grandbaby. So I'm not 100% sure if Kellan is a boy or a girl. Actually, I'm not sure. Let's just say leave it as grandbaby then. Secondly, sticking with Orange County Rangers Supporters Club, they also put out a fundraising appeal last week for one of their hardcore members, Dougie McDougall. And the fundraiser itself says, this fundraiser is for Andrew Dougie McDougall. Dougie is an active member of the OCRSC, the American Legion, and raises funds and clothing for those less fortunate in the Los Alamitos area. For those of you that did not know, Dougie had a quadruple bypass surgery 2 weeks ago. Oh my word. And he was in the ICU and recently got out of hospital and is slowly recovering at home and making very small steps to recovery. Now he has the worry of not being able to work and the worry about the mounting medical bills. Dougie has impacted so many people's lives in a positive way and has a smile and a laugh that is simply infectious. Dougie has a tough journey ahead and will continue to need all the support and love that we can give him. Please donate whatever you can, no matter the amount. Thank you. And that's on behalf of Gordon, Brian, Neil and Stuart from the Orange County Rangers Supporters Club. So I'll put the link on the blurb for today's pod for Dougie's appeal, and would encourage you, if you can, to give what you can. Dougie is a great guy. I've met him a number of times, and it would be good if we could help a bear out there. And finally, on the shout-outs for this week, I wanted to follow up on the shout-out I did last week. I got a message from my older sister, Debbie, after her birthday shout-out, saying, and it was a text message saying, "Ya ducker, I just heard my shout-out on the pod," followed by an angry swearing face emoji. You know, the wee one that's kind of reddy orange and it's got the sweary stuff in front of it. I don't mind admitting I was a wee bit confused, firstly about what a ducker is. So if anyone out there has an idea, if you could please let me know. And I'm assuming it's something grateful and complimentary, for taking the time to provide that shout out. And I did check out the emoji, and right below the angry swearing one on my phone is the wee one that's that's kind of got the brains blown out. It looks like the wee explosion just at the top of its head. So I'm assuming that she's just picked the wrong one, and she is very grateful, and her mind was blown to hear such a thoughtful message on the podcast. So all of that to say, Debs, you are absolutely more than welcome. Thank you very much for listening, and as I mentioned last week, I cannot wait for your 50th birthday next year around about this time. So on to the convention update. I can officially confirm that today, Monday the 21st of February, it is officially 100 days to the first official event of the 2022 convention. So to put that in a week's to-go context, that's just over 14 weeks to get everything sorted for the biggest overseas Rangers show ever to happen. So I did say not so long ago that it would be double figures in terms of days before we know it. Double figures in days is tomorrow onwards. So getting nervous? Yeah, a little bit, if I'm being honest. As mentioned over the last couple of weeks, the golf is out there on sale, and it is selling very well. So if you plan to golf, please don't delay in getting it booked. And over the coming weeks, as we confirm our VIP guests, we anticipate that at least a few of them will be golfing, and you might get the chance to golf with one of them, or at least get to spend some time with or near them during the day's activities, which is always a great and terrific experience. So if you're planning on golfing, please don't delay, get that sorted. We are closing in on the shirt supplier for the Absent Friends football match, or football tournament, I should say, actually, and we're really hoping to be in a position to get that on sale quickly as well. We're genuinely in the final throes of that, and we should know a little bit later this week as to what direction we're taking, and then we'll get the football on sale as well. The main focus for our group, for the NARSA executive this week in the convention organising committee, is to get the formal invites out to the selected VIPs and start to get them confirmed over the next wee while, to help, obviously, to get get the event in their calendar, to get the travel booked, and then just start to get ourselves organised in terms of communicating who is going to be able to join us. And that will help us round off the event and build a little bit more excitement for who you're going to be able to rub shoulders with over the days of the event. So a little bit of a more brief, I should say, update on this week's pod. But yeah, we're moving, lots of things moving in the background. Another regular plug for our frequently asked questions document that I talk about every week. The difference this week is that we did update it last week with I'd mentioned the ticket selling, ticket transferring process last week, and we've actually put a couple of bits and pieces on the frequently asked questions document there just to help people understand what options are open to them. You'll remember that I did say that that our system limitations prevent us from being able to properly split apart packages if you bought 5 sets of tickets and you were trying to sell, say, for example, 2 of them or something like that. So it's in writing now on our frequently asked questions document there, and I would encourage you to go and take a peek at that if you need any information about the ticket selling process or how to go about that as well. On to communications for this week. Again, kind of pretty light on the communication front, as it typically seems to be when the team is in this routine of playing twice per week, and I can just tell it's very prevalent when I talk to club staff just during the general course of business that we have together. At these times, the messaging from everyone is always a version of the club is just focused on the next game. So, as soon as the Dundee United game was finished, if I contacted anyone at the club, I would get a message saying we're just focused on Dortmund. And that's a great place to be, just having that one club focused, and everyone is just pointed to that. That said, there are a couple of bits and bobs here. I did want to start with an article on the Rangers website talking up the club's 150th anniversary celebrations, specifically the Weekend of Legends match. And the article said, Rangers are delighted to unveil even more football stars who will come to Ibrox on March the 26th to celebrate our 150th anniversary as part of the Weekend of Legends, presented by Unibet. The World Legends squad, captained by Luis Figo, will be joined by UEFA Champions League winners Claude Makélélé, Ivan Cordoba, Ricardo Carvalho and Predrag Mijatovic. Robbie Keane is also set to join the World Legends team. Robbie Keane, he'll get a good reception, I'm sure. Alongside Roy Mackay, Roberto Carlos, Georgie Hadji and Robert Pires, in what is set to be an entertaining and memorable match at Ibrox. Alex McLeish will manage the Rangers Legends squad, which features a host of light blues heroes such as Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Paul Gascoigne, Sasa Papac, Michael Mose, Chris Boyd, Nikita Jelavic, Ronald de Boer and Alan Hutton. Joining these stars will also be Carlos Cuellar, Pedro Mendes, Lee McCulloch and the one and only hammer George Alberts. And we are also delighted to announce that former treble winning captain, and Rangers Hall of Fame inductee Barry Ferguson will be captaining the Rangers Legends. The Weekend of Legends is a perfect way for the full family to enjoy the club's 150th anniversary celebrations, and junior tickets are only £5. As part of the day, supporters will also be able to enjoy our 150th anniversary themed fan village, which will consist of live entertainment, soccer activities and appearances from legends and Broxy Bear. So exciting build up for that as we move into March and the kind of big month for a lot of the celebration stuff that's happening. Last week's pod, you'll remember, was Valentine's Day, and we talked a wee bit about that. It was also the 10-year anniversary of our administration event, which led to our liquidation event, and obviously that dramatically escalated within the months that followed to demoting us to the lowest league in Scotland. And I didn't mention it for a couple of reasons. One, I just didn't want to really think about it or highlight it. It served no real purpose for us moving forward. And two, by the time I remembered, it was just a wee bit too late to put anything decent together for the pod, to be perfectly honest. But Rangers Managing Director Stuart Robertson did do an interview with Sky Sports to talk around some of the events from his and the club's vantage point, more specifically from when Stuart joined the club back in 2015. And it's a decent read, and there's an accompanying video to go with it too. I'm not too surprised at all that the club didn't do any communication around the 2012 event or the anniversary, as there's no real point or benefit in looking backwards for the current leadership of the club, or just looking forwards. Of course, we want to look backwards to make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes, but I think we're long past that. Anyway, I'll put the blurb for that article if you haven't seen it already, and it's a decent listen, you know, just talking about Stuart's journey and what's happened, and Steven Gerrard's arrival, and the significance of the Nathan Patterson deal and stuff like that. Pretty decent. The Rangers Charity Foundation has launched a new initiative to bring mental health support, the Changing Room, to the club. And the article on the website says, Rangers Charity Foundation is delighted to bring the Changing Room to Ibrox in 2022 as we look forward to kicking off the innovative 12-week course starting on Thursday, the 3rd of March, that invites men to step down from the stands into the heart of their club to take action for their mental health. The Changing Room has one goal: to promote men's mental health and well-being through the power of football. Jordan Boyd, Senior Community Executive with the Rangers Charity Foundation, said, "We recognise the role football can play in bringing people together and helping people with their health and well-being. We already run virtual team talk sessions for mental health and well-being and are really pleased to be adding an already established successful programme to a range of community activity under our expanding Foundation for Healthy Lives pillar so we can reach and help more people." The project targets men in their middle years, age 30 to 64, and works to help guys better self-manage their mental health and support one another as part of a team. These sessions are a chance to get away from the everyday stresses and chat about football and mental health at the home of Rangers Football Club. There is a lot more details in the article, and I would encourage you to go take a peek if that's something that might be of interest to you or anyone in your network that might want to be able to find out more about that and take advantage of that as well. The last thing is just to talk about the fact that we haven't done the Zenith Coins thing. I'll skip over that a wee bit since we're on a wee bit of a longer pod today, and that will do it for this week, my friends. 2 more important games for us as we wrap up a busy and really topsy-turvy February that has seen us continue to toss away our grip on top spot in the league. March is a wee bit quieter in terms of games for us, so we'll see what that month brings. For this week, we need another rousing European performance. That would be absolutely fantastic, and more importantly, 3 points at home on Sunday. As always, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Please do share this with whomever you think might enjoy it, and until next week, please do take care. All the very best. Cheerio.